Well, happy, beautiful, amazing day. I'm Dr. Bob Rakowski, Blue Diamond out of Houston, Texas, with this week's conversation on success. It's absolutely one of my favorite topics, and my personal brand is all things health, happiness, and success. And I'm going to share tidbits to enhance every area of your life. So if you master these two skills, you will create epic health, happiness, and success. So Les Brown, absolutely one of my favorite speakers of all time, just full of great energy, phenomenal storyteller, and a phenomenal story. He says, you know what? If you're ever given a presentation, people want to know three things. Number one, who are you? Number two, what do you have? And number three, why should I listen to you? So, first and foremost, my wife Kelly and I, we are both serial entrepreneurs who have had phenomenal success in a number of different arenas. As a healthcare practitioner, as an educator, as someone who's created products, as someone who's succeeding in real estate, and finally, our best way to enhance reach, revenue, and impact through creating a network of people who share better products, better services in a better business model. And I'm going to talk about that. So there's a beautiful picture of Kelly and I on stage. At this point, we've created over 44.4 million in team sales. By the way, 94% of that is from reorders. And you'll see the importance of that in a little bit. And we have nearly 27,000 team members. And by the way, that number grows literally every single day. When Organo asked me to do that this week, they said, focus on personal development. And for good reason. Jim Rohn, one of my best mentors of all time, really stated again and again that anyone's level of success is rarely going to exceed their level of personal development. And if it does, by the way, normally it'll shrink back to that level. So you want to keep getting better in every aspect of life every single day. Darren Hardy has a lot of wisdom to offer. I love this very, very short video, 100 years of wisdom in 10 minutes. And you know what? It really could have been shortened to even 30 seconds. So how could you share that much wisdom that fast? Well, when he interviewed a billionaire that was over 100 years old that had the phenomenal, successful life, as he would call it, the trifecta: health, happiness, success. He also threw in love and respect. Those are all things that I believe we all want. But here was the gentleman's first key. He says, you know what? There are nearly always a few keys to success in any venture. So think about the Pareto principle, or what they call the law of the vital few. There's a few things, maybe 20% of your efforts, that will create 80% of your results. And here was his final tip. Find out what those vital things are and then apply them consistently. And by the way, I might say lovingly and with passion, and then you'll even accelerate your results even further. So keep in mind, your network is your network. And what exactly is networking? Well, it's basically making friends and meeting their friends. And the classic Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. He said, you know what? The best way to make friends is to be genuinely interested in people. Not just interested, but how about interested in helping them to achieve their goals? Because remember what Zig Ziglar said: you can have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. And how about this simple quote? You know what? If you can achieve your goals all by yourself, they're quite simply not very big. So guess what? The king of the jungle doesn't just go by himself. He leads a team of people that are hungry, working towards a common goal. And I'll tell you what, that's a pretty good model to live by. So if we're going to have success in business, the two things that are going to get us there are going to be salesmanship and influence. Now, keep in mind, there's plenty of people that don't like the word sales. They don't like the concept of sales. But you know what? We're going to put a new spin on this. And how about Grant Cardone? He was in the documentary, or I guess the reality series, Undercover Billionaire. And this guy was dropped off in Pueblo, Colorado, a place he'd never been. He had $100, period, end of story. That was it. a cell phone with no contacts in it, and an old truck. And he had 90 days to create $1 million business. Well, he created a $5.5 million business. And if you want to study success, he's got a lot of phenomenal tips there. But very, very simply, if you watch Grant Cardone closely, and even said this several times throughout, number one, you want to show up. And then secondly, don't quit. So get started, don't quit, and you are going to be on your path to success. It was once asked, how many times do you think people try before they give up on their goals? And the answer might shock you. The real answer is 0. Most people, their goals never get out of their head. They never get into action. And therefore, they're always, underachieving. I guess that's the best way to put it. And Grant Cardone, no identity, no nothing that he could share. He basically would tell people, look, just give me one chance and I'll earn the rest. Well, I want to say that no one gave him anything. He actually earned their trust in an interaction. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm going to do it. And he had the level of enthusiasm and confidence that would move you forward. It's said in life, there's 3 types of posture: good posture, bad posture, true posture. Bad posture won't get you anywhere. Good posture means you're consciously always working on maintaining that good posture. And what's true posture? You own it. You have it. It's you. And when Grant Cardone was talking to a former professional football player, trying to get him to invest in his business ventures, he knew that this guy was street smart and something wasn't quite right about this story. The guy that he was presenting, if he really was that guy, wouldn't have had the swag, wouldn't have had the confidence. Grant earned that. But I'll tell you what, you can be confident that if you take your best action and try to get better, you will get better. And then ultimately focus on that salesmanship and influence, and you're going to be okay. Now, plenty of people have said, I'm not a salesperson. I don't know who really wants the title of salesperson. That's kind of a rough title because we think of salespeople as people that are pushy, people that want something. And I'll tell you what, if you are that, you're not going to be a successful salesperson. So Daniel Pink, in his book, To Sell is Human, he said this: like it or not, we're all in sales now. We're always trying to convince someone of something, unless we're just a pawn being moved around by life. And if that's you, you probably want to get into sales so you can sell people on your ideas, the things that you actually want. And this is my favorite definition of sales. We want to earn the right to make a recommendation. Now, if you watch that Undercover Billionaire special, Grant Cardone earned the right to say, hey, look, if you invest a little in me, I will really dramatically increase a great return on your investment. And by the way, he did it again and again and again, so many times over 90 days that he took nothing, literally nothing, and turned it into $5.5 million. Now, Daniel Pink, he talks about the new ABCs of sales. The old, always be closing, always be closing. You want to buy, you ready to buy? What color do you want? No, that's not going to work in today's environment. You want to, number one is attunement. You want to connect with the person, their energy, where they're at. I'll go to C next, clarity. You want to be clear about what you want, what the outcome. I'm always clear on my goal. I want to earn the right to make a recommendation. And B, I think, is the biggest one, buoyancy. And he says you want to learn to stay afloat in an ocean of rejection. If you're going to try something big, I promise you, you are going to be rejected, and maybe even by those that are closest to you. So you've got to learn to stay afloat, and I would suggest even thrive in those cases. So I started looking up different things on rejection, and a website called Bold CEO. And here's what he said: fear of rejection paralyzes sales professionals. Actually, maybe he could have said that differently. Paralyzes most salespeople a lot of the time. But as you become more professional, you don't get paralyzed by it. You just go, okay, this is part of the process. Guess what? I'm going to move forward. Somehow, some way, I'm going to match with another person, and I will earn the right to make a recommendation. And I'm such a big fan of wisdom. And this is a really big one. Confidence is not they'll like me, but it is I will be fine even if they don't like me. Think about that. If you like you, if you like where you're going, if you like what you're doing, if you like your purpose, then you know what? Don't let anyone ever rain on your parade because it's your life. And this whole big, wonderful universe has so much to offer all of us. So there was a book called The Common Denominator of Success by Albert Gray. And he said, you know what? The big difference is successful people make a habit of doing things failures don't like to do. Now, when you expand on that, do the successful people like it? No, they really don't. They don't like failure. They often don't like the grind, but that's not the issue. Show up, don't quit, stay plugged in, keep your vision in front of you at all times, and move forward in a way that makes you better, your family better, and our world better. And what a quote by Muhammad Ali. And by the way, you know, he was voted the #1 best athlete of the entire last century. And what a powerful statement. He said, I hated every minute of training, but he said, I loved living my life as champion. So, you know, are there things that you're probably not going to like? Hate's a pretty strong word. Sure, there is. Do you like the pain of discipline, as Jim Rohn would say? Most of us don't like that pain, but here's the deal. If we see that it gets us where we want to go, we can actually learn to love the pain. As David Goggins, maybe the toughest animal on planet Earth right now, says, he loves the pain. He relishes in it. He lives in it, and he knows that it makes him better, stronger, faster, smarter. So I like superheroes. I like super strategies. And this is a super strategy cubed, S cubed, as I like to call it. Now we're going to talk about sharing. We're going to talk about sampling, and we're going to talk about selling. Now I'm going to put selling as number 3, because guess what? Most people don't want to sell, but most people do like to share. And let's look at this progression. And first, this graphic though, right? The base lung of the ladder is sharing. Then I'll talk in a moment about what sampling is, and then you can sell your way essentially to infinity. If you can sell and you do it right in the right way to sell, where you add value to people, where you earn the right to make a recommendation, where you do it integrity with alignment with what you believe and what you're doing, then you can sell your way to infinity and beyond, as Buzz Lightyear would say. So let's start sharing. Would you like to share a cup of coffee with me? Well, how many people would say no to that? And if they do, how about tea? How about a fine conversation? How about strategies to make your life better? Because we offer all of those things. And then what about samples? Sampling has been one of the best strategies in the history of sales. You get to try it before you buy it. You always want to remove the risk. And how about risk reversal? You know, in this $44.4 million business that we have created. And by the way, I promise you this moment, our numbers have even gone up because we have a team of nearly 27,000 people synergizing on this common goal. I offer a money back guarantee. Hey, if you're not 100% satisfied after you've tried it, right, completed the box, I'll return every single penny. There is no risk on your part. And by the way, if you consume what we're recommending, you're going to get better and probably love the process. I remember, you know, this interesting description. He could sell ice to Eskimos. Well, there was a time when that was considered a compliment, but not anymore. That is absolutely not a compliment because you're selling someone something they don't need. That's never what we want to do. We want to meet people where they're at, and we want to help them move to where they want to go. And if we have a match with our products, our services, or whatever we're offering, well, then let's move forward. But if not, listen, let's just be friends, right? We want to make friends. We want to meet their friends. And if you make a friend, you're going to have a better opportunity to meet their friends. Bob Burg wrote the book, The Go-Giver. He says, great salesmanship is never about the salesperson. It's about the other person and how you can make their life better. And if you do that, you will be profoundly successful. Robert Louis Stevenson, the author of Treasure Island, he said, look, everybody lives by selling something. That's kind of true. You've got to sell the people around you on maybe what you want to do or where you want to go to eat or, where you want to vacation next. We're always selling something. So what if we're selling products, right? Well, here's an interesting phenomena. If you're selling a product, well, you sell one. Now what's next? You got to sell another and another and another. And you might just be one sale away from being out of business. So John Paul DeJoria, and one of the co-founders of Paul Mitchell Hair Products, an amazing billionaire. He says, look, I made my billion, but here's what I'll tell you. You don't want to be in the selling business, but you absolutely want to be in the reorder business. And I'll tell you what, I couldn't think of a better reorder product than Healthy Gourmet Coffee and Tea. In fact, ours was rated the best organic coffee in 2022. So think about that. The best organic coffee in the entire world. And then Ed Mylett, you got to love him, one of Forbes' richest 50 under 50. He's got phenomenal character, integrity. And by the way, he made his first many millions in network marketing and parlayed that into hundreds of millions. But if you asked him, what was your superpower? He said, I was a master of selling the dream. And my favorite quote about coffee, there is no dream too big for coffee. Billions of cups consumed every single day. People that drink it never need to be reminded, never plan to quit. Ours is delicious. It's more convenient. It's more cost effective. And it's way, way, way healthier. And by the way, wherever you're buying your coffee from, can you partner with them to create a multi-million-dollar global business part-time? Maybe not, but with ours, you absolutely can. So Ed Mylett said, great entrepreneurs are constantly conscious of selling the dream. So think of Steve Jobs with Apple. He was just selling the dream of better technology, making lives better. And what a fascinating, simple phrase. 1,000 songs in your pocket. That was revolutionary. And then Martin Luther King, I have a dream, probably the most famous speech of all time. And I listened to it just to get inspired again and again and again because he had vision. And by the way, one thing he said is the dream will definitely outlive the dreamer if it's big enough. And God bless him for his efforts, right? What a better world for him. And then how about Paul Caldwell? And I got to tell you, he's phenomenal at selling the dream. And he does it every week, every Monday, letting us know that we will together create a multi-billion-dollar, multinational ecosystem where everybody wins. And what's not to like about that? How about everybody that gets involved with us on any level will win? How big will they win? How big do they want to win? We've got teams and resources in place to win as big as you want to win. So I like this progression. Well, you can share. Yeah, okay, that's kind of the crawling phase. You can sample. That's the walking phase. You can sell. That's the running phase. But now you can lead, and that's where you really take off. That's where your dreams take flight. John Maxwell, considered one of the greatest authors, experts on leadership anywhere on planet Earth. He said very, very simply, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. But let's break down some of the factors of influence. And here's what I'll tell you. If you help other people climb their ladder to success, you will have a better life. Remember what Zig Ziglar said. You can have anything or everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. Most people I know want to move up in their world, in their life, in their activities, and we have a way of doing this. Bob Burg, his book is called The Go-Giver. Absolutely amazing. But here's what he called the law of influence. Your influence is determined by how abundantly You place other people's interest first. Think about that for a moment, right? Most people, or way too many people, are me, 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 me. Well, how about this? How about what can I do for you? How can I help you? How can I make your life better? And most people realize the starting point of leadership is starting with themselves. Someone asked John Maxwell, what's your toughest leadership challenge? He says, leading me. That's the easy one. That's a hard one. Well, leading others, for me, that's easy. Leading myself, I'm still challenged by that. So think about that for a moment. And by the way, Da Vinci said this. He said, you can have no greater, and oddly enough, no lesser mastery than self-mastery. So you're effectively leading yourself. So this was from the Chicken Soup of the Soul series. And how about this? He says, when I was young and free, my imagination had no limits. I dreamed of changing the world. And as I grew older and wiser, I discovered the world would not change. So I set my sights on something smaller. How about I set my sights on changing my country? But guess what? That too seemed immovable. As I grew older and wiser, I discovered the world would not change. So I shortened my sights on deciding, oh, boy, the way I didn't do a very good job with that slide, did I? I'm repeating it again. I decided to try to change my country. That wouldn't change either. And now, as I lie on my deathbed, I suddenly realize if I had only changed myself first, then by example, I would have changed my family. From their inspiration and encouragement, I would have been able to better my country. And who knows, I may have even changed the world. So I fumbled through that a little bit. This guy had big dreams, change the world. Oh, the world won't change. Change the country. That won't change. Change my city. Nah, that won't change. Change my neighborhood. No, that won't change. Change my family. No, they won't have it. Change myself. And that's really where it all starts. You get better. You get stronger. You get faster. You get smarter. You earn the right to make recommendations, and you can help people make their lives better. And another great quote: to lead others, use your head. To lead yourself, use your head. To lead others, use your heart. I might even go with leading yourself, use your heart, right? So why not always stay connected with what you love? But I think he's saying there, make smart choices. And then he starts talking about leadership and influence, and people will follow people for 7 factors: their character, their relationships, their knowledge, which, by the way, I'll transition to wisdom, their intuition, their experience, their past successes, and their ability all come into play. So Warren Buffett says this: you can't make a good deal with a bad person. And I want you to think about that for a moment. If there's a bad person, you probably don't even want to interact with them. Are there bad people out there? Believe it or not, there are. There are. As Jim Rohn says, there's not many of them, but they certainly do get around. So how are we going to define character? Well, how about the combination of humility, integrity, and strength? And how about this? C.S. Lewis, he says, look, humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less than you're thinking of the other person, less than you're thinking of serving that person. And of course, you got to love Lao Tzu and that Chinese philosophy. And he said, you know what? A bamboo that bends is stronger than the oak tree that resists, because guess what? Nature will come up with a bigger force than you can stand up against. But if you're flexible or humble, you're going to be okay. And Buffett says this: if I'm going to hire someone, I look for integrity, intelligence, and energy. And by the way, if they don't have integrity, he says this: the other 2 will kill you. Pretty extreme statement there, but go with integrity first, where your actions, your words, your belief, your body, mind, and spirit all align. And then you're going to be on a good path to success. And then how about this? Love with strength. Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. I love that wisdom. And that's a good transition to relationships. Robin Sharma, again, you'll find out who my favorites are. Robin Sharma, John Maxwell, Ed Milet, Grant Cardone. They all have some amazing things to teach us. But Robin Sharma says the business of business is relationships. The business of life is human connection. So I had a great training session with Grandmaster Al Garza a number of years ago. And, we were training and, having a good workout and getting a good sweat and learning some techniques. And he looks at me and says, Dr. Bob, I think you probably have an answer for this, and I'd like to know what you have to say. I want you to define success using 3 and only 3 words. Well, I couldn't use the word success, right? So I said health, happiness, and prosperity. Now I might say reach, revenue, and impact. By the way, all these things are blended into what we're doing now. And Grandmaster looked at me and says, well, that's a pretty good answer. He says, but do you want to know what my grandmasters taught me? I said, sure. All right. He says, here's what it is. Success is relationships, relationships, and relationships. Think about that. That really rings true. And by the way, what did Grant Cardone try to do in Undercover Billionaire? Create relationships. With who? With people of influence. Well, how was he going to do that? He earned the right to make a recommendation. He showed up. He didn't quit. He had plenty of reasons to quit. COVID hit. He got sick. The global economy shut down, all this other stuff, but he didn't quit. And guess what? 90 days. That's it. 90 days, a $5.5 million business. And by the way, Grant Cardone said, man, you guys that build networks and have a company that has a product like Organo, right? Like we're doing, you have an unfair advantage. He would have blown it out of the water if he could do that. So I would encourage you, if you get inspired, look at that, watch it, and apply it. And Eric Worre, the best trainer in all of network marketing, said this: the greatest networkers on earth do this. That was the title of his YouTube video. What do? They prioritize relationships, relationships, and relationships. So the next one was knowledge, but I like wisdom better. And what's wisdom? The ability to apply relevant knowledge in an insightful way. Now think about that. How much knowledge is in the library? Well, a ton. How much wisdom? None of it's being applied by those books on the shelf. Maybe someone applied it when they wrote the book and sold the book and added value to a lot, but we want to apply our knowledge in an insightful way. So I always like this question: how smart are you? Well, not a very good question. The better question is, how are you smart? And you know what? We're approaching 8 billion people on planet Earth. And here's what I'll tell you. Everybody's a genius in their own unique way. And even Einstein said that. He said, everybody's a genius, but what a fun way of saying it. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll live its whole life thinking it's stupid. So, you know what? We want to really connect with people and honor them in their zone of genius. And with that said, how about you connect with you and honor your own zone of genius? Most of us have heard of IQ, the intelligence quotient, but there's EQ, the emotional quotient. And I read an article in Forbes years ago entitled "Intelligence is Overrated." What really is going to get us success in life is our ability to connect with others and have emotional intelligence, which, by the way, I like being defined as balancing our brain and our heart. Go back to John Maxwell. If you want to lead yourself, use your brain. If you want to lead others, use your heart. Why not balance both at all times? And Ron Worley is one of my amazing patients. He had a phenomenal health turnaround, even created a video, so I could tell you about that. And some of that was related to Ganoderma, which is beyond absolutely amazing, probably life-saving. But he sent me an autographed copy of his book, From Ditches to Riches. And by the way, I know Ron. I met Ron on the other side, where he was successful and powerful and so many different things going on. When he sent me that, I said, Ron, what's that title all about? He says, well, that's my story. Ditches to Riches, I asked. He says, yeah, I had a problem with alcohol. I was drunk driving. Third time, I ended up in a ditch filling with water, and someone pulled me out and saved my life. And so then he finally realized, okay, enough's enough. I got to turn that around. But you know what? When he was living that life, he developed a lot of street smarts, which we might call that survival smarts. But he said there's 2 types of smarts. There's going to be street smarts and there's going to be book smarts. And then book smarts, by the way, being BS and street smarts being SS. funny quote within this book that resonates with me. He says, BS, book smarts without street smarts, SS, is just BS. So you might know plenty of people that have read a lot of books, but can they apply it? That's the key. And that's what we want to be able to do consistently. And then how about intuition? Well, what is it? I like this definition. It's a whisper of the soul. And Einstein said this, the intuitive mind is the sacred gift. Now, he was a pretty smart character, and I'm guessing that he used that intuitive mind quite a bit. And he says the rational mind, well, that's the faithful servant. And oddly enough, our society honors the servant, but has forgotten the gift. So I think his wisdom there, even though he didn't say it directly, honor your intuitive mind, connect with your soul. And then I get a chuckle out of this, right? When we talk to God, it's called prayer, but when God talks to us, it's called schizophrenia. So, are you really hearing voices? I don't know. I don't hear voices, not that sound like audible voices, but certainly when I listen to my soul, when I listen to God, I'm nudged in a direction to serve, to add value, to make the world better. And you know what? You talk to people that do that consistently, they generally are on a very good path to create a great life. And then Bob Proctor, he talked about the law of vibration, the top law in the universe that actually creates the law of attraction. And here's what he said. Your intuitive factor is what picks up on other people's vibration. So it was so fascinating when, again, Grant Cardone, an undercover billionaire, he's talking to that pro football player, and the guy says, something doesn't add up here. You're saying you're a nobody, but you are not presenting like a nobody. You've got way too much swag. Well, let's get that swag. Let's get it. Let's own what our mission is and earn the right to make recommendations. So what's experience? That's number 5 on the list of your ability to create influence. And I'll just go to Oxford's dictionary for this. It's the knowledge and skill that you've gained through doing something for a period of time. So hopefully you've done it for a long period of time in a way where you constantly keep growing. And that's a good path to success. And keep this in mind. There's a lot of people that say they have 15 years experience, but it might just be 1 year repeated 15 times. And I promise you, that is not the same as 15 years of experience. And how about this? Thomas Edison said this, I haven't failed, good attitude. I just found 10,000 ways that don't work. Pretty fascinating that he was so passionate about adding value to the world. He still has the Guinness Book of Records for the most patents out of anybody. And he wanted to bring light to the world. And if we use that as a metaphor, isn't that what we're all here to do? And I remember this phrase, some people walk into a room, it gets brighter. Other people, the room gets brighter when they leave the room. So which one do you want to be? You want to be clearly, right, that one that's going to add light to the world. And then past successes is the next statement there. And even the FBI teaches that the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And then think about this. Science proves that this boring quality is the best predictor of success. That really was a little teaser. What boring quality are they talking about? They're talking about grit. The ability to delay gratification. So if you haven't heard of the marshmallow test, you want to look it up. But they took kids and they put them in a room and they put a marshmallow in front of them. And they said, you know what? If you can just sit here patiently and not eat that marshmallow until we come back in the room, we will give you 2 marshmallows. Well, guess what? The kids that were able to delay their gratification for more, 12 years later, they had higher scores on their college entrance exams. At age 30, they had a better body mass index. In other words, they were in better physical shape. Their brain scans at age 50 were better. They had healthier brains. And on and on and on, they achieved a lot more in their life. So this could go along with the common denominator of success. Those kids made a habit of waiting to get what they want. Do you want to wait for what you want? No, we want it now. But often if we wait, we get a whole lot more. And then Zig Ziglar, again, a sage of wisdom, the chief cause of failure and unhappiness is trading what you want most for what you want right now. Like that marshmallow. Well, you know what? Do you want two? Okay, hang on. Just hold tight. Two is on the way, but you need to earn it. And then how about this? Past success is awesome, but don't rest on your laurels. Use your past successes as a trampoline, not as an easy chair. And then how about ability? I think most of us know what that is, but here's our dictionary definition. The quality of being able to perform, a quality that permits or facilitates achievement and or accomplishment. And Sadhguru, he's got so much wisdom to share. I really love how he simplifies life. He says, look, if you want to be successful, don't seek success, seek competence. Get really, really good at what you're doing. Get good at salesmanship. Get good at influence. Get good at selling the dream. Albert Schweitzer said this: example is not the main thing in influencing others. It's the only thing. So, he's a pretty good sage of wisdom. Remember that most things are caught, not taught. I also like that phrase, right? So people can catch your energy, they can catch your enthusiasm, they can catch your actions, and hopefully they are all things that you would want them to catch and that you would want to share with them. And how about this one? Children have never been very good at listening to their elders, but they've never failed to imitate them. And there, I love those hungry lines again: lead by example, example, example. That is the way to do it. So in summary, there are nearly always a few keys to success in anything in life. If you want to be successful, you want to find out those few things and you want to apply them consistently. If you want to build your network, and remember, your network is your net worth, you want to make friends, you want to meet their friends. And if you want to be successful in business, you want to master salesmanship and you want to master influence. Grant Cardone made it pretty simple with these two things: show up and don't quit. Ed Mylett, you must sell the dream like he did, like Steve Jobs did, like Martin Luther King did, and hopefully like you do as well. And remember, there is no dream too big for coffee. And as always, and before I even finish with that master these two skills, salesmanship and influence, and you will create your best life. And as always, I'm Dr. Bob Rakowski, absolutely knowing that we can all be happy, healthy, and successful. So good night if you're in the part of the world that's going to bed. Good day if you're in a part of the world that's awake. And God bless all of you always.